So think about it. It says right here we're talking about factoring trinomials, and we're going to use Google Draw. So make sure you remember that you're going to be able to use this program when we're going to have to solve when we have something when we get to our factor form. Remember, our factor forms are where we have two terms, well, two sets of terms inside parentheses. So we're going to come back to this, but I wanted you to start to think about this before we go, as we're going into factoring trinomials. Okay, so today, factoring trinomials. So something simple like as far as 3x squared minus 7x minus 6. This is where we need to learn from our standard form, what is our A, what is our B, and what is our C. We're also going to be going over that. Okay, once you're looking at that, we're going to determine our A, our B, our C. We're going to have to figure out what is our product and what is our sum. Okay, what two numbers we can add to get 7, but we can use them to multiply to get 6. Okay, this is just an example. We're going to have two examples, and we're going to go over the actual steps. So, today's game plan. Our announcements, as always, upcoming dates. Okay, y'all should have already done your think about it. Then we're going to get into our learning factors of trinomial. And then we got, you got a Desmo and a booklet that you have to complete. And your factor trinomials. Last week, those who have done their Kahoot, you should see your grades already in the system. Okay? So, remember, today, last class we did factor by grouping. We're going to be doing today trinomials. On Friday, we're going to be doing special cases, barring the weather, to get us into next week. On Tuesday, we should be able to finish up Unit 4. We will not have a Unit 4 major test this quarter, because you only can have 2 per 1 quarter. So, right when we get that on the 24th, I didn't have it up here, but you'll see it on the next slide. On the 24th, we have school. That's the end of the marking period. You'll have a half day. So that day, we make sure that you have your devices, make sure you got a charger, and then with that being said, we're going to make, that's the day that you can come to me for any help on any missing assignment. Okay, I do not want to be seeing assignments turned in 3 weeks later after that. Okay, I'm not doing a grade variance. Don't forget on the 29th, you have the professional, well, I have professional development, y'all have the day off. And then after that, we don't get another day off until the 17th. Yes?
Next Monday is no school, right?
Is the professional thing, is that what?
Next month is no school.
Next month.
Next month.
What? I was like, what?
Start of quarter 3. And now, something that y'all need to remember, y'all seniors, y'all are seniors. Your time is coming to an end. Come before the end of May, y'all are done. So, if you fail first quarter, you cannot fail the second quarter.
If you fail second, you cannot fail third, right?
No, that means you fail.
Say that again?
Semesters, bro.
If you fail second, you cannot fail third, right?
If you fail second, well, what about first?
I passed first.
You pass first, you fail second, you have to pass one of the next 2.
Right, so I have to pass, okay.
No, depends on what your grade is. You will probably,
I at least have to be had C's in my class.
we want you to have B's and A's.
Right.
Okay. So, if you need questions about where you stand, come see me. I do it individually. I do not do it out loud. Okay? So, today's outcome. By the end of this lesson, you, the students, will be able to factor trinomials expressions by grouping. Okay? Just like we did last class, we were factoring groupings. This time, we're doing trinomial. The prefix tri means what? 3, correct. So we're going to be using three terms, okay? It can be 7x squared plus 4x plus 2. That right there shows us the three terms, three trinomials, okay? Pay attention on this video.
You know, let's just wait.
Right, let's talk about it.
Oh, we can skip? Oh,
You better play that.
I was like, no.
Marcus, get him.
Why she trying to treat you like a dog? Who is she?
Stop trying to treat him like.
Not your car. First off.
Oh, no, he just said,
Now we're going to take a look at factoring trinomials in the form ax squared plus bx plus c when a is not equal to 1 and a is not a common factor. In this video we'll use the grouping technique to factor these types of problems. So the first step is to recognize that 4 cannot be factored out of this trinomial. So the first step in this process is to find the factors of a times c that add to b. So a times c would be 4 times negative 15, that's negative 60. We want the factors of negative 60 that add to negative 4. Well, negative 6 times 10 is equal to negative 60, but negative 6 plus 10 is equal to positive 4. We want a sum of negative 4. So if we switch these signs and use negative 10 and positive 6, that's equal to negative 60, and these two factors do have a sum of negative 4. So negative 10 and positive 6 are the factors that we want to use. So now what we're going to do is rewrite negative...
Video.
That was me.
10 and positive 6 are the factors that we want to use. So now what we're going to do is rewrite negative 4x as negative 10x plus 6x. So our polynomial with 4 terms will be 4x squared minus 10x plus 6x and then minus 15. Again, notice now we haven't changed the term, we just broke it up into a sum. Negative 4x is equal to negative 10x plus 6x. If you happen to write 6x minus 10x, it's not going to change the end result. But now that we have 4 terms, we'll factor this using the grouping technique. So we'll divide this in half, and then we'll factor the left and right side separately, hoping for a common binomial factor. So the greatest common factor between 4x squared and 10x would be 2x. So if we factor out 2x, we'd be left with 2x minus 5. And the greatest common factor of 6x and 15 would be 3, so we'll factor out a positive 3. And notice how we're left with 2x minus 5. And so we have this common binomial factor here, which we'll now factor out. So if we factor out the binomial factor of 2x minus 5, notice how we're left with 2x plus 3, which is how we factor the trinomial 4x squared minus 4x minus 15 using the grouping technique. So you can see this process is a little bit lengthy, but if you like factor by grouping, it is a nice way to factor a trinomial when a doesn't equal 1. Let's try another one. Again, first step is to find the factors of a times c that have a sum of b. Well, a times c would be 20 times 3, so we want to find the factors of positive 60 that add to b, or positive 19. Well, that would be 15 times 4. This product is 60, and 15 plus 4 does equal 19. Now we're going to rewrite 19x as 15x plus 4x. So we'd have 20x squared plus 15x plus 4x plus 3. Now that we have 4 terms, we'll divide this in half and factor by grouping. The greatest common factor of 20x squared plus 15x would be 5x, leaving us with 4x plus 3. Notice how 4x and 3 don't have any common factors, But we could factor a 1 out, so we'll have plus 1 times the quantity 4x plus 3. Notice how now we have a common binomial factor, which will now factor out. And if we factor out 4x plus 3, notice how we're left with 5x plus 1. And now our trinomial is factored using the grouping technique. We'll take a look at one more method for factoring these types of trinomials in the next video.
What's that? Hold on 1 second. Oh, no wonder why I'm gonna turn this on. Okay, so here we go. You should be at the top of your paper. Okay, we're going to go over the 4 steps.
Actually, 5 steps.
Huh?
5.
It's 5 steps. 5 steps to solve. So, over the 5 steps. Stevenson, can you help Brian out? He wants to go to the bathroom. It should be open. You did tell him. Oh, wait. Thank you so much. Okay, so it says right here, factor of the binomial by grouping. Step 1, we need to identify what is A, what is B, and what is C. In this equation form, from the standard equation form of ax squared plus bx plus c. It's basically the first one, the second one, the third one. Okay, which factors can multiply to get AC, but add for B. Okay, so you will take A and C and multiply those two numbers, and then you'll figure out the sum for B out of using those answers. Okay, so you're looking at me like a deer in headlights. Pay attention as we go through. I will be able to explain it in more details to y'all. Step 2, we're going to rewrite the middle term with factors from step 1. Okay? Just like in the video, it had 20x squared plus 15x. Because what happened was you took the 3, which was A was 20, and C, which was 3, you multiplied that. Now, that gave you 60. What can multiply to 60 but add to B? And then they found out that it was 15 plus 4. So the same thing here is, we're going to rewrite that. Okay, 1/2 will be, we're going to put the 15, so basically we'll take B, and we're going to split B in half. So it'll be AB in one set of parentheses, and BC in the other. Now, I know y'all say, Mr. Denny, that sounds weird. I know. But we're going to understand it as we get better into this. Okay? 3, factor by grouping, break the expressions into equal to. Okay? This is where we talked about factor forms are with parentheses. Okay? AB will go in one set, and BC will go in the second set of factor forms. And then we're going to look for what is the common grading factor in both sets of those factor forms. Okay? And once we do that, then we will be able to start to find our greatest common factors / leftovers. Meaning is, the greatest common factors will be outside the parentheses, and each set of parentheses should have a common thing. So say they might be 2x minus 1 on both sides. You're going to combine those, and then you're going to put whatever the leftovers in the second set of parentheses. I will get, as we go through class, I will better be able to explain it more once y'all start to see it. Okay, we're just covering the steps. The steps does not really show you the light. Okay, step 5, check your answer. That goes back to our think about it. Either you have one or two ways to solve a trinomial. Either you could, once you break it down into factor forms, once we got our factor forms in parentheses, we can now use our box method to check our answer. Or you can do FOIL, first, outer, inner, last. Whatever you feel comfortable doing. I like the box method. On here, on my slides, you'll see the box method. So,
I was knocked out.
does everybody got this, or we need to take a second?
Take a second.
Hmm? Hold on, got somebody else. So far, I know y'all just writing it down, and it leaves a lot of questions in y'all head, but like I said, next one, we're gonna go over the first step, which will be 3x squared minus 16x plus 5. Once we go over that equation, this will be able to help y'all get better understanding of what I'm trying to present to y'all, to each and every one of y'all. Also, a side note, as y'all are getting closer to the end of the school year, you need to start thinking, what is my next step? You wanna go become an engineer, you wanna go to school, go wherever. You need to start thinking about this stuff and start planning. Because if y'all don't, y'all gonna be behind the curve come May. And by then, some people will not be angry, but then there will be some people saying you wasted this much time when you could have got all this other stuff done. Okay. Remember, you can also follow along with the notes from our, that's in our folders. Okay, moving on, and if you need me to come back later on, I will. So right here, we're looking at our first model. F of x equals 3x squared minus 16x plus 5. First thing we need to do is we need to identify what is our A, B, and C. Okay? What that means is, we're going to say, when we look at it, A is 3, B is negative 16, and C is 5. We're going to go ahead and combine A and C, which is 3 parentheses 5, what type of operation is this? What type of operation is this? 3 parentheses 5. What type of operation? Adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing. Multiplying. Okay, we multiply that, and then we find what two numbers can add to the sum of 16. We start going through our head. Okay, so we got our number, but then we have to break it down. We know that we can go with negative 15 times negative 1, which will give us positive 15, and we have a negative 15 plus a negative 1, which will give us negative 16. Because remember, C is positive and B is negative. So we're going to go ahead and we look at it with our solution. We have taken now 3x squared minus 16x plus 5. The folder, in our folder is our outcome notes.
Wait, what?
In the folder it says outcome. Learn about it. Learn about it is these notes, but I just transcribe them into a PDF. So, we gotta do now 2. Rewrite that middle term. We figured out that we know that we're going to be using a negative 15 and a negative 1 to get us negative 16. We see here we're going to break it down. I now am going to put one of them with 1. I see I got 3x squared minus 1 minus 15x plus 5. Okay, we rewrite it. We're going to break it down to separate it. Now we've got 4 terms. Now we got 4 terms. We can break it down into 2 factors of 2 sets of parentheses. Okay. So now, we did go ahead, now we broke it down. We broke it down into 4 terms. Now we're going to factor the grouping, breaking the expressions into 2 equal parts. And then what is our greatest common factor of each part? So, I see I got 3x squared minus 1 minus 15x plus 5. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put a line down the middle. I see that I'm going to now separate this into 2 sets of parentheses. I'm going to use one side with 3x squared minus 1, and then the other it will be 15x, negative 15x plus 5, which will look like this. I see what is my common thing. What is the common? Okay. Javon. I see that I look right here. I see what is common in the first set of parentheses. Both of them have an x. I can pull that 1x out. I see in my second set, I see that if I change this to a negative 1, a negative 5 times negative 1 will give you a what? 2 negatives makes a, so what if we switch that, and then we can go ahead and divide both of them so that now you see that in black in the parentheses, both are the same. So our greatest common factors will be one set of parentheses. The leftovers, which is x minus 5, will be your next set. Okay? You see how we broke it down? Step 4. One set of parentheses is GCF, and the other is leftovers. I see my first one was my greatest common factors was 3x minus 1, and then my leftover, which was x minus 5. Okay? So now we know where we at on step 4. What was the answer for step 5? What do we do for step 5?
Check your answer.
Check your answer. Now, I told you there are 1 or 2 ways that you can check a factor form. One is what? You can use
Box method?
the,
Box method.
or you can use, a lot of people don't like it, I don't really use it, it's called FOIL. So for my example, we're going to be using the box method. At the bottom of your page, you should already have, or if you flip it over, you should see your box method. How I'm going to set it up. So now, I'm going to check my answer. I'm going to take my first set of parentheses, 3x minus 1, I write that across my top. I take the leftover, which was x minus 5, I I put that down my side. Now we're going to cross multiply into each box. So the first box will be 3x times x, which will, answer will be what? What is 3x times x?
X squared. 3x squared.
3x squared, yes. Okay? Now, I got a negative and a positive. My answer is going to be a what?
Negative.
So 1 times 1 is what? 1. But then I'm also going to bring in how many variables?
1.
So I'm looking at negative,
1x.
correct. Now I'm starting on my bottom row, first column, or it would be my second column. I see once again, I have a positive times a negative, which will give me, which shows my answer will be, say it again? No, negative times a positive is a negative. 3 times 5 is 1, 2, 3. I hit you with 5 fingers. 5, 10. There you go. How many variables am I bringing in? 1. There you go. Now, we talked about this. A negative times a negative, outcome will be positive. So 1 times 5. Always good. Now, you see the way I did this, I actually left 2 of them as the same color, okay? I know that I cannot combine